This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Considering the weather and everything out in Chicago, the play of the game might have just been made, and Kurt Suzuki might have failed to do the thing he was supposed to do. We had a play at the plate. The Cubs are up 1-0 over the Angels. The initial call was that the runner was safe at home. Kurt Suzuki took too long, the Angels manager, to challenge the play, so he was not awarded a challenge. They're showing the replay right now. It's pretty close. I don't know if they would have gotten it or not, but still, in a game like this with a total of 6 and the wind blowing in at like 18 to 20 miles an hour, that might be all the difference you need. Up 1-0 the Chicago Cubs are. You know who needs the Anaheim Angels here? I do, and so too does Station Casinos, as we were just talking with Chuck Esposito off the air, joins us now on the Progressive guest line. Chuck, your Cubs up 1-0 right now. Suzuki took too long, and as you mentioned to me, you need it. We need the Angels. Everybody needs the Angels here. What is a day game like in terms of handle, and what is a day like today like in the early goings of Major League Baseball from a handle standpoint with all these games starting pretty early for us out on the West Coast?
It's great for us, JVT. I mean, the more early baseball games we have, it puts more stuff on the docket, knowing that we've got later, NBA and NHL games. So love having day baseball, but we're always looking for a little puppy love. We definitely could use the Phillies to go down to the Nats this morning, and if somehow we can get the Angels to win, that put us off to a pretty good start. So, but it's great having day baseball, having baseball here now really adds to the wagering menu throughout the course of the day.
We're going to get to the NBA a little bit later, but I am curious, and maybe it's too early for you to actually judge this actual question I will have for you, but do you think that this could be a good time for baseball in terms of handle? Because not only are we in the end of the NCAA tournament, we've got these days before the Final Four, but also, I mean, today's a good example with all these big favorites in the NBA. With not that much attraction to the daily NBA card, will baseball fill the void, you think, this season?
I think it'll definitely help a lot. I know you and I chatted a little bit off air about the NBA. I mean, think about this. Since February 11th, NBA teams with a win percentage of 33% or less facing a team with a win percentage of over 60 are 2-38 straight up, losing 19 in a row outright. Just right now, the product isn't good. I know they've talked about expanding a bit, and it just seems like there's the teams that are the haves and the have-nots, and the have-nots just aren't very good right now in the NBA.
Yeah, and another day today. We'll get to some of the NBA stuff with Chuck, but a lot of double-digit favorites and big ones at that, not just 10 and a half, but a little bit more. All right, baseball-wise, how has the early season been for you guys? And as it looks right now, our athletics are not doing particularly well, come ours out here in Las Vegas, but has there been an excitement for Major League Baseball and any early season liability that is noticeable for you guys in terms of some futures?
Nothing crazy. The two teams, they bet a bit. In the National League, the Giants, and the American League, the Mariners. Those are two teams that we have some liability on. Mariners, playing in a tough division. A lot of parity with Rangers, Astros, Angels there, where the Angels are started right now. And, of course, in the National League, the Giants are going to be chasing the Dodgers all year. But those are the two teams that we have a little bit of liability on to kind of start the season. But, again, it's great to have baseball here. The Marlins probably a real surprise right now, getting out of the gate at 4-1. I think maybe the biggest surprise is having how well they're playing early in the season.
What do you think about your Cubs this year? What's your expectations?
I kind of like them. I like some of the moves they made in the offseason. If Cabrera and Bregman really come through, they've got some talented kids at the Jackson Wiggins, another pitcher at the AAA level. They're going to get Justin Steele back at some point, and they'll probably make a move. Personally, I still think they're the best team in the National League Central.
Chuck Esposito with us, Station Casinos. All right, let's talk to the NCAA tournament, because that, of course, is going to be the focus. Final Four gets started out in Indianapolis on Saturday. Let's start first with the big one. I mean, you hang it up and you just see what the market wants to do. Anything notable at all in Michigan, Arizona? 1.5 is predominant number. Total, it's 157.5. What numbers do you have up? And I would assume that this is pretty heavy two-way action by the time we get to tip-off.
I think both games will be, JVT. I mean, we opened Michigan 1. They pushed it up to 1.5. The total, we opened 157. It's now 157.5. I mean, you look at Arizona, how dominant they've been. I think they've won every tournament game by double digits. Michigan has been great. I mean, scored at least 90 points in every game. They're just really a good offensive team. They create a lot of their shots. They have great movement. I mean, it's a shame that these two teams are playing right now, or are going to play in the Final Four. But, man, it's a tremendous matchup, and I'll be happy to root for whoever we need in this game. But early money has shown a little bit on the Wolverines.
And what about the other side? I think a lot of people will express surprise that UConn, with all the success under Hurley and the way they have gotten here yet again, is an underdog to Illinois. We've seen a little bit of movement toward UConn. Are you starting to see some action on the Huskies? Will they be the side that the public comes in and backs by the time we get to Saturday afternoon?
I think so, JVT. We opened Illinois 2.5. It's down to 2 right now. The total has seen some dramatic movement, though. We opened 145. It's down to 139.5. I think you look at Illinois, and defensively, they're just so good. I mean, they're so good on the glass. They're so big. They were a team that all year I thought was really, really good, but they were underachievers a bit. I thought they could get to this plateau if they really got hot at the right time, and they have. I think you look at UConn, and from an experience standpoint and having Hurley there, they've now won, I think, 18 straight tournament games when reaching at least the second weekend going back to 2011. They're just a dangerous team. I think from that side of the ball, there's a lot more pressure on Illinois. I think UConn will be much more relaxed in this spot. But just having these two games, hovering around a bucket, I think is great. Tournament still has been a little bit chalky this year, although much better for our side of the counter compared to the last couple of years. This is by far our best March Madness since probably 2023. But both games, again, very low point spreads. Happy to root for whoever we need. But early push on the one side was on Michigan, and here an early push on UConn.
You have the two one seeds on the one side, and obviously teams that have been favored for a while. Then you have UConn and Illinois. Is there any big bomb for you guys in this Final Four from a liability standpoint?
No, we're actually in tremendous shape on Michigan and Illinois. We still are in a decent shape on Arizona and UConn, but Michigan and Illinois is really the the two schools that we're in the best shape on overall. On the women's side, we're good on UConn and Texas. Definitely some liability on UCLA and South Carolina a little bit, but nothing too crazy.
Who do you think's going to win this whole thing?
I don't know. I really kind of thought it was going to be Arizona. Well, let me backtrack. I thought it was going to be Houston. When I filled out my bracket, I thought it was Houston. Of course, they're not playing anymore. I don't know. I guess whatever team kind of gets hot, you have the experience of Hurley and that UConn team, and Illinois who can play defense and maybe is just going to be a little bit loose. Michigan and Arizona, two number ones that are so good, have been so dominant in the tournament, are coached so well. I really don't know. I'm happy to root for whoever we need. I think however it shakes down in the final, you're going to see a lower point spread as well, which is kind of refreshing for us. But I really don't know. Again, I think it's going to be a great matchup however it unfolds. But I just think it's tough to go against Hurley and UConn in that game, I think, from an experience standpoint.
Racing Sportsbook Director, Station Casinos, Chuck Esposito with us. We always talk about this from the Super Bowl standpoint and all these championships. For this, because college basketball and March Madness is an event as opposed to focusing on some of these teams. From a handle standpoint for Monday night, doesn't matter who moves on. Maybe I guess the story of UConn getting back to the national championship would help, but I feel like no matter what iteration of the national championship you get, the handle is going to be relatively the same, or not.
Yeah, I think it will be, JBT. I think, however it shakes out, these are popular teams. We're going to still see a really good handle on Monday night.
Yeah. All right. Let's move to the NBA really quickly in the last couple of minutes here with you. We are nearing the end of the regular season. We've kind of hinted at what this has been like from a basketball betting standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint. Has handle been down like day to day with some of these big favorites down the stretch, Chuck?
It has a bit, JBT. I think when you look at the product as a whole, there's some really good teams out there. But, man, there's some teams that just have not played well down the stretch. I think when the playoffs roll around, it'll be a little bit different. But handle has been down just a bit because there's been so many teams that are really good and so many teams that are really, really bad. It's almost like there's two leagues that are going on simultaneously in pro basketball.
How do your futures look like over at Stations when it comes to the NBA postseason?
We're not in bad shape. There is some money that showed on the Celtics. Celtics and Cavs in the Eastern Conference were teams that got some love. Lakers have got some love, of course, in the West. But those would be the three teams that we've definitely seen some play on throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, I think that does make a lot of sense when you're looking at the way these teams have been playing. I keep seeing Denver. I will say that right now. I think Denver is going to be a team that is worth reckoning with, but that is because they're fully healthy. We'll see if that actually shakes out. Chuck, we're up against it, but we appreciate a couple minutes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, JVT. Anytime, buddy. Thank you.
Yep, you got it. Chuck Esposito again, Race and Sportsbook Director, Red Rock Hotel and Casino. All right, a couple of score updates for you before we head out. We're going to check in with Shaun Powell, get his thoughts on not only the season as it's going in the association, but also take a little look at the MVP and more for the NBA. Angels, the inning of death, bottom of the third inning. The don't challenge the play at the plate. That opens the floodgates. 3-0. Chicago up on top, first and second with 2 out here in the bottom of the third frame. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are starting to add to their lead. This is a 1-run game, but a couple of runs cross the plate. 6-3 now, top of the ninth inning out there in Cincinnati. Reds trailing the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Chuck mentioned needing a dog to bark. Nationals are doing just that. Top of the seventh inning, they've tacked on a few more. 5-1. Washington currently leads the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll have some starts coming up a little bit later in Major League Baseball that we'll hit in some previews coming up. Our next first pitch slated for 12:40 p.m. Pacific time, Detroit and Arizona. This one looks like it'll be a good one. Tarek Skubal and Zach Gallen will go at it. Gallen, the fall from grace from a couple of years ago, has been absolutely wild. The command has been a massive issue throughout the course of his career the last couple of years, and now, sure enough, his last start on the road against the Dodgers, coming off a 4-inning performance, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, walked 2, and now he's got to do it against the Detroit Tigers and Skubal, who, of course, Tarek Skubal is Tarek Skubal. We know exactly what he's going to bring to the table, coming off of a brilliant start against the San Diego Padres, where he went 6, scattered 3 hits, and struck out 6 in that start. All right, on the other side, Shaun Powell is going to join us from NBA.com. The MVP race, it could be over, and one award, someone has called it not even close, and it might not be in the direction that you think. So we'll discuss that and much more with Powell from NBA.com when we return here on Money Moves. So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
O'Neal Cruz and the Pirates have opened this thing up. It's 8-3 over the Cincinnati Reds, and JT Realmuto has added a solo shot, 5-7. Washington currently leading, Philly still bottom of the seventh inning with 1 out, and this thing has cracked open. Cubs up 5-0, runners on first and second. We're in the bottom of the third inning. Remember, that total closed 6. Despite the fact that the wind is blowing in, Cubs are doing a ton of damage. We'll keep our eye on everything. Orioles get a win in the series against the Rangers. That one goes final as well. But let's talk a little bit more about the association. We got about 7 games left, depending on who you're looking at in the regular season. Postseason right around the corner. Awards will be decided. Let's discuss that and more. Shaun Powell is with us, NBA.com. You could find the writing up there. In one of your more recent articles, Shaun, I wanted to start here. The MVP ladder. This has been a fascinating conversation down the stretch. We had Wemby last week, stumped for himself. He had Shea the other day, asked if he wanted to, and said, no, let my game do the talking. In the latest ladder, you had Wemby at number 1. Do we think this is realistic that Victor Wembanyama could steal this award from Shea Gilgeous-Alexander?
Well, I kind of compare this MVP race this year as like the Olympics 100-meter dash, and where at the finish line, the distance between the first place finisher and the fourth place finisher is a fraction of a second. Mm-hmm. And that's how close this MVP race is between Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and obviously Wemby. You can make a case for either of those 4 players to win. And if you tell me that, I'll say you're probably right. It's that close. I think it's wonderful, though, because number 1, there's great drama, great conversation. And number 2, if you've noticed, all 4 players are playing incredible basketball here down the stretch because they know what's at stake. So does Wemby have a chance? Yes, he definitely has a chance. I also think Shea has a chance. We'll see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, the other two, of course, that is obviously worth mentioning, Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, both sitting there on the, we'll call it the periphery of the race right now, as the total narrative, it would seem, is focused on the two from Oklahoma City and San Antonio. For our audience, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is still the heavy favorite to win the award at -300. Victor Wembanyama, second at +225. Doncic at 15-1. Jokic is 80-1 to win this. Throughout the discourse of this entire thing, because there are 5 that you put here on the ladder, there have been some. Michael Wilbon is a voter, and he came out the other day, Shaun, and said that still, currently for him, Jaylen Brown is his number 1, despite the other 4 that we're discussing here. At what point throughout this process did you rule out Brown, and do you think that there's going to be enough Wilbons that would give Jaylen Brown actually a shot at taking this thing?
Well, it's great that Mike, said his choice, but he's just one of many, many, many voters. Yeah. So, he doesn't really have any sway. I don't have any sway. The one thing when the NBA and also Major League Baseball and the NFL, when they distribute the ballots to the voters, there's no stipulations. There's no stipulation that says, well, his team's got to win so many games, or he has to lead the NBA in statistics, or this or that. It's just up to each individual voter. So when you say Michael wants Jaylen Brown, well, that's based on his stipulations for the award. Every voter brings something different. Jaylen Brown has had a very good season. Obviously most of it without Jason Tatum there. They're right there at number 2 in the East. I don't think they'll overtake Detroit, but being a number 2 seed in a year that was supposed to be a bridge year, I think Jaylen Brown has done himself very well. I just think the competition this year is just so steep that I just don't think he's going to be right there among first or second place.
NBA.com is the spot. We want to check out Shaun Powell's work. A lot of different articles up there from Shaun. And one of them that you wrote a couple of days ago was about some of the hottest teams in the association since the turn of the new year. And one of the things that I would like to bring up are these Lakers teams. Now, I should be fair. I am a Clippers fan. So everything I look at with the Los Angeles Lakers is viewed with pure hatred. But it is hard to deny how good they have been since the turn of the calendar, really all year long, obviously in contention to grab this 3rd seed. What do you make of this Lakers team as a whole? What is their staying power in the Western Conference as it stands right now? They could grab Houston in the first round and have a second-round matchup with, as we always like to say, Shaun, an inexperienced San Antonio Spurs team in the postseason should they win their first-round matchup.
Well, the reason why the Lakers have surged lately, well, 2 reasons, basically. Number one, they finally started to play defense, and that was very important for this team. And the other thing is Luka Doncic. He just had an incredible March. I mean, this guy's put up 60 points, 50 points, 40 points, a string of 30-point games. He's been incredible. And hats off to LeBron James by allowing Luka to be Luka, allowing Luka to be that lead singer of the group, so to speak, the guy who's going to be the first option. And I think it's just, a credit to LeBron James that he didn't really put his ego in the way. And to Luka Doncic for taking over. I think they're waiting for Austin Reeves to get back to where he was early in the season before he got hurt. He probably will, but they're playing defense now. As far as what they might do in the playoffs, I mean, who knows? I mean, when you look at who they might see more in even the first round, they could see, Houston with Kevin Durant. Even in the second round, they get matched up with the Spurs or the Denver Nuggets or the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, the Western Conference playoffs, the way it's shaping up and setting up right now, I just think it's going to be just incredible basketball. I can't wait to see it.
The team that I refuse to give up on, and they're finally starting to get healthy, is Denver. What do you make of how the Nuggets have looked? They're on a little bit of a stretch now where they're starting to get things together. Guys are finally available. How dangerous do you believe Denver to be once we get to the postseason with their own experience? And I keep going back, Shaun, to last year. I keep saying, look, that was a team that had Aaron Gordon on one leg and Michael Porter Jr. with a single arm, and they pushed OKC to 7. I don't think I'd be surprised to see him do it again in the second-round matchup with OKC should they get him.
Yeah, but Aaron Gordon, he's still having problems, with the hamstring. It's really been, hurting him. You can go back to, obviously, last year when he was on one leg going against Oklahoma City. Had he been healthy in that game, I mean, who knows? Maybe Oklahoma City wouldn't be champions right now. But, I agree with you. I think Denver is a terrific team and of course, it's the big if they're healthy. If they're not healthy, then, San Antonio's tough. If they go up against San Antonio, Oklahoma City, tough. And the other thing about the Denver Nuggets is they need defenders. Their defense has been atrocious over the last month. Aaron Gordon is a terrific defender, but if he's not healthy or not in the lineup, I just don't see how they're going to shut down some of the, scorers on the other team. Finally, Denver really hasn't played very well in crunch time. They've lost a handful of games in the last 2 or 3 possessions because they've missed shot and missed free throws. But defense and being able to answer the bell in crunch time is really going to determine how far they go in the postseason.
Powell to the people, if you want to follow him up on X. Let's take a look at another team. Let's go to the Eastern Conference really quickly. I want to talk about a player, but first we should set it up like this. Since January 1st, the San Antonio Spurs lead the league in non-garbage time net rating. They've outscored their opponents by 12.2 points every 100 possessions. The second best team in that category are the Charlotte Hornets. First, let's start with Con Knippel. Rookie of the Year is going to be absolutely fascinating to see how this shakes out. How do you think you do the MVP ladder? If you had to rank a Rookie of the Year ladder, what do you think that looks like?
Well, usually when rookies come into the NBA, they're going to go to crappy teams because, the crappy teams are, they have the lottery picks. Charlotte obviously wasn't a great team last year either. But once LaMelo Ball got healthy and, players like Brandon Miller started to take the next step, Miles Bridges started, being consistent, more of a consistent scorer. Suddenly the Charlotte Hornets, particularly in the last 2 or 3 months, have been a great team. And so that's the value of Con Knippel. I mean, he's playing well for a good team, and you rarely see rookies put in that situation. Usually rookies come in, look at the teams like Washington, New Orleans, teams like that. Those teams aren't going anywhere. So it's good to see Con Knippel playing meaningful minutes and putting up meaningful production on a team that has something to play for. You rarely see situations like that, but he's answered the bell in that sense. And look, I think he has a very good chance of getting Rookie of the Year. He's been really consistent most of the season, and his 3-point shooting has really been tremendous and been a big-time difference maker for the Charlotte Hornets. And I think that's one reason why they are where they are.
Shaun, thank you for a couple minutes, sir. We really appreciate it. You can follow Shaun on Twitter again, Powell to the people, and the work is up on NBA.com. Thank you, sir.
Anytime.
Yep, you got it. Again, NBA.com. Masters almost here, folks. Make sure you're ready for it. The VSiN High Stakes Masters Challenge on Splash Sports is a $500 entry with a $100,000 guaranteed fantasy tiers contest built specifically for golf bettors. Here's how it works. You draft 6 golfers, 1 from each tier of the field. Your top 5 scores count. Lowest combined score across all 4 rounds win. Your worst golfer gets dropped automatically. Missed cuts carry an 8-stroke penalty, so roster construction matters. Entry closes April 9th at 8 a.m., so don't wait. Again, April 9th, 8 a.m. is the cutoff. So head to splashsports.com/VSiN, promo code VSiN, 50% deposit match up to $100, a free $20 quick picks entry, and a 100% quick picks boost. Splashsports.com/VSiN, promo code VSiN.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, we're keeping track of everything in Major League Baseball, all the games that are currently underway right now. The Rockies, who have been a little bit of a pain in the ass for the Toronto Blue Jays in this series, doing it again here. Top of the 8th inning, a 1-1 tie. And Rocks got runners on the corners with 2 outs. So we'll keep an eye on that, see if a dog can bark in that one. And speaking of barking dogs, the Nationals are up 5-2. But looks like Kyle Schwarber, is that Harper? No, it's Bryce Harper, excuse me, on a solo shot. So another solo shot. Previously it was JT Realmuto. It is now 5-3 as the Phillies are trying to stage a comeback at home. With that, let's welcome in our next guest. We had a lot of smart people today. Adam Rosenberg from SGPN is with us. Dad's Bet Baseball as well, and co-founder of Handigraphs, who joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Adam, we were discussing the Angels. Please wax poetic. Jose Soriano, we're thinking American League Cy Young, I think, is a fair ask at this point.
Dude, he shoves, man. I love him a lot. I had his under-earned runs yesterday, and I had the Angels yesterday. When he's on the mound, I still think he's criminally underrated. That guy's great.
Criminally underrated indeed. Got it done yesterday. 2-0 win. Angels, not so much today. 5-0 bottom of the fourth inning. Getting wrecked right now. All right, let's talk about some baseball games that we have coming up a little bit later. I'm really interested in your thoughts on this game because I do find myself, I told Gil Alexander when we were switching spots here in the studio earlier today, I personally think that this Royals team, first off, is going to be very good, but I'm also very quietly a Noah Cameron stan, and I think he's going to perform pretty well for the season. He opposes Joe Ryan. You've got to play on the total here. What do we expect for Royals and Twins?
So I like you. I liked Noah Cameron last year. He came out of the gate pretty well when that whole entire pitching staff was injured, and he kind of faded a little bit down the stretch. But I think it's just because he was a rookie, young guy. This is one of the, I like the under in this game. I like alt under for the first 5 as well that I don't give, but under 8.5. These totals have been really high in Kaufman. They had a 10 with Bubic the other day. They're not playing on the moon, guys. And they moved I understand they moved the fences in, but not how it works. But Joe Ryan looked really good. Noah Cameron did not look good in spring training, but I put enough stock into the coaches that I just think that he'll be all right. So with the way these offenses have been playing, I think that the best angle on this game is going to be an under. Like I said, Joe Ryan has been pitching really well, basically since WBC when he came back from spring training, and he was electric in that first start of the season. If you're ever going to have the Twins against a lefty, I think that you definitely want to take under on the offense. So Cameron and Ryan, give me the under 8.5 in this game.
Yeah, I thought the price-wise, too, was one of those where it's like, man, what am I missing? Because I like Cameron, as we mentioned. I like this Royals team a ton, and yet we see Ryan open up as a small favorite. A little bit of movement toward the Royals from a side standpoint. Open up about $1.20, minus 118 to minus 115, this predominant price in the market. All right, let's hit a couple of these other games here. Giants-Padres also coming up a little bit later today. Current matchup right now and pricing-wise, we have this, about $1.57, but we're going first 5 between Pivetta and Hauser. What do we like?
So we're going with an alt. First of all, I love doing alt unders on these first 5 totals, just because you can always get generally same hit rate, same angle, and you get 50 cents sometimes more on the price. I don't think the weather is not great. The home run factor for Petco is going to have I think there's going to be some home run suppression here. I think that people are a little bit overreacting on Pivetta. He was electric last year. He also had a career high workload across the board. I expect him to be a little bit better. And Adrian Hauser, honestly, he gets it done. He's not a terrible. His spring training numbers were the exact same as his 2025 stuff, which was pretty solid across the board. I don't really see anybody other than Ramon Laureano on the Padres who's actually been hitting the ball well. I'm not really getting behind anybody on the Giants offensively. So first 5 under. I mean, look, maybe over the course of the game, I think the Giants can maybe pull ahead later on because there's been some bullpen issues on the Padres. But first 5 under 3.5, I'm getting near plus 150 almost for that. I think that's a great angle on 2 teams with struggling offenses and capable starters.
All right, 6 minutes from first pitch. We've got to make sure we get to this one as well. If your name, and you're a baseball player, is Dylan Dingler, I would assume that you're going to mash for 30 to 40 homers at some point. We have 1 under the belt for our guy here, but what's your expectation for him? They're on the road against Zach Gallen and the Diamondbacks.
So I heard you mention it earlier with Zach Gallen. Voorhees native. Voorhees, Philly, he's a Philly guy, and he's kind of really fallen off over the last couple of years. He did not have a good first start. I don't expect him to have a really good second start, to be honest. I'm not a big Zach Gallen guy. I wanted him to do well, but the Dylan Dingler, aka the Dirk Dingler, he's been mashing. He's also, by the way, low key, really good defensive catcher, Gold Glove catcher that nobody realizes. Anyway, he is hot. He's already hitting 375. He's got a .OPS and obviously in his last 30 plate appearances against right-handed pitching. I think that he's just going to have a good time in this park. Gallen, like I said, was a mess. If you want to look at his, obviously the short sample of now is against the Dodgers, but sure, he just has not been pitching well for quite some time now. But all of the hard hit metrics on Dylan Dingler are just exactly what you want them to be. He's got a 667 slugging, 726 expected slugging. His ISO is 335. I like him for 2 bases. I like him for a double. If you want to get real cute and creative, that's near 4-1. If you don't want to hit the home run, he's got a guy with a 107 max EV. This is just a no-brainer to me. And while everyone can flock to the Riley Greens and the Kerry Carpenters of the world, give me Dylan Dingler to have over 1.5 total bases in 5 minutes.
Tigers' season is all but lost. They're 2-3 to start the year, so probably never going to be able to dig out of that hole over the course of a baseball season. What did you make of the AL Central? Before we get to your last best bet involving the Yankees and Schlittler here, what did you make of where the Tigers stood? A lot of us here at VSiN and people talking to very high on them, not only just in the Central, but obviously in the grand scheme of the American League. Did you echo those, or did you think something else?
It's the Central, so it's always a wild card. We watched a 15-game lead evaporate last year. Look, I can tell you this. I was way too high on thinking that the White Sox were going to be not the White Sox, and that has not looked good. I do think that team will get better when Kyle Teal comes back. He'll handle that pitching staff a little bit better. But Detroit is also acting like this is a window. They're actually, getting Framber and getting some of these guys, like putting things together. They made runs at players. This team has the pitching. They have some solid guys of the new bullpen by committee, which is 3 former closers for other teams. I think that I do like this Tigers team. Like you though, I'm a little bit higher on the Royals overall, but it's the Central. You could probably get 2-1 for both these teams and figure out ways to do it down the stretch. Tonight, I think that this run line's short. I do think that the Tigers will be able to have their way, because even with this entire offense not clicking, just everybody who is hitting on this team is just mashing really well. And I know last night there were some problems, obviously, with the D-backs coming back, but this Tigers team has the best pitcher in baseball. Then it has Framber, who's you can argue is still in that top 5 of some of the better pitchers in baseball, certainly on the AL side. I think the one concern I have for Framber on that team is probably just their infield defense isn't that great, and he's a ground ball pitcher. But yeah, this team that fans have always wanted to spend money and to make moves, they didn't do anything last year, but this year, look, they're treating it like a window, and so they're actually sounds like they're taking it seriously and really want to have that the AL Central.
Yeah, 2 minutes from first pitch, and I'm smirking not because of your answers, but they just showed Zach Gallen and Tarek Skubal warming up together, and the Chiron said, Battle of the Aces. One is not like the other. We will just say that. All right, let's head out to take in this Yankees contest later today, and this is going to be out on this West Coast, the wonderful coast. Seattle will play host to these Yankees. Cam Schlittler has been off to a good start in his career, off a great start to start the season on the road against San Francisco. Do we expect more from Schlittler here against Seattle?
Yeah, I think the market's super low, is underrating on Cam Schlittler. I think he's the dude. He is I have a bunch of his futures for over K props for the season, but he also has elite command. He didn't walk anybody last at that, and that's how you kind of get to that's how you're able to get to these over outs, getting plus money for over 15.5 outs. And keep in mind, he averaged, like in the short sample last year, he averaged more than 16. So they're going to let him go, I think, for this one as well. This Seattle team, which I do have high hopes for later on, swinging freely. Cal Raleigh hasn't gotten going. Between him and Julio, it's kind of a giant hole in the lineup. They're all pretty much soft contact guys too right now. That 27% K rate and 68% contact rate on the season is pretty bad and matches up really well to Cam Schlittler being able to go a little bit more distance. And I'm not totally sold on where this Yankees bullpen is going to go. So I do think that when they have these opportunities to take advantage and give their pitchers a little bit of length, I think letting Schlittler go a little bit further into the 6 could be good for this team.
All right, we like it. Dude, we appreciate a couple of minutes here today. Thank you very much. Good luck, man, and we'll have you on again. As the baseball season's here, we got to get you on regularly so we can handicap some of these props and more, all right?
Yeah, dude. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for having me.
Yep, you got it. Again, Adam with us here, Adam Rosenberg, SGPN, Dad's Bet Baseball, and co-founder of Handigraphs. Nice enough to give us a couple of minutes here today. I am a little distracted. I don't mean to not make eye contact with you, America, as Dave Ross would say, but trying to find an in-game price potentially on the Washington Nationals as they are, or the Philadelphia Phillies, who are staging a comeback here of sorts against the Washington Nationals. Not really going well. Runners on first and second with 1 out, trailing 5-3. All right, when we come back, we'll have more on best bets and everything else. But if you got the group chat and opinions, Cut is the social betting platform that lets you bet directly against your friends and other users on sports, politics, pop culture, and even personal bets. You can use a promo code VSiN, get a 15% deposit bonus on your first deposit. Download Cut today, KUTT.com, or in the App Store. Use promo code VSiN to get it started. We'll update you on baseball, get some best bets and more as we wrap it up here on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, we've got a lot lot going on. Tons of things to update as well. But the thing that you need to know about is our sweet deals up at vsin.com. Check it out now. If you're listening to me on SiriusXM, Channel 158, or any of our wonderful affiliates around the country, and you're curious about what we have to offer, we'll get you in for $9.99. Daily best bets from everybody here, the network guests, everything in between. Real-time betting splits. If you like to use this as part of your handicapping process, you get them from Circa, you get them from DraftKings. The AI-powered props. I continue to say that our player prop stuff, I think, is some of the most underrated things that we have up on the website, including the Opta AI projections. You can get that as part of a VSiN Pro subscription and more. You can watch us, all of our wonderful shiny faces, 24/7 full show replays, and all the betting guides that are included. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. Again, for as little as $9.99, you got an introductory offer for those who are interested. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. My eyes are darting around. I'm trying to find everything. There's a lot going on here today. We're tracking a lot of Major League Baseball. So let's go to where the drama is right now. The 8th inning just ended. I thought that the youngster, our guy Crawford was going to come up and give me a shot. He'll have an opportunity here in the bottom of the 9th inning. I'm talking about Phillies outfielder Justin Crawford, who is on my fantasy team, and also is potentially going to help the Phillies lead a comeback when they get back. They have to get out of the top of the 9th inning, though, blemish-free. 5-3, Washington Nationals up on top. This is one of the big dogs that are barking on this day in Major League Baseball. We've had some lopsided results as well, but the closing pre-flop price here on Washington was about a plus 238, 235, depending on where you look. And they are taking care of business, but need to get this thing done here today. Also going on right now, some of the other contests that are a little bit tighter. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning between the Mets and the Cardinals. That got a delayed start. It's 1-0 Mets up on top. But the Rockies are giving the Blue Jays all they can handle here in this series. Rockies and Jays tied at 1 apiece, top in the 9th. We did see the Rockies had a couple of runners on out there in the 8th, but couldn't get it done. First win of the season came a game ago where they got a 14-5 win over Toronto, and now they are looking to take this game today against the Blue Jays, and this would be the series. So let's see if they can get it done in a 1-1 tie. Nationals, by the way, have a runner on. Their leadoff guy is there. The other matchup that we're watching, Tampa Bay and Milwaukee. Bottom of the 7th inning, we are in a 2-2 tie between those two clubs right now, and Carlos Correa does some damage for the Houston Astros. Not a day to write home about for Garrett Crochet. On ace day, the Red Sox ace struggling. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 total, 7 strikeouts. Got taken deep by Correa, who's got that. And right now, the Astros currently lead in the top of the 6th inning, 5-2. Over the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox got absolutely beamed yesterday by this Astros team and are currently not only on a 4-game losing streak, in the previous 2 games of this series had been outscored 17-3 and currently trailed by 3 runs here in the top of the 6th inning. We do have some late games in Major League Baseball, like late for the day, but a couple of results that are already in the books. A couple of snowmen up on the scoreboard. Pittsburgh wins 8-3 over Cincinnati. Baltimore wins 8-3 as well over Texas. And the Atlanta Braves get a win 5-1 over the Athletics. Miami, 10-0 over the Chicago White Sox. Coming up at the top of the next hour, Mitch and Paul will track all of these day baseball. We have 2 games starting at 1 o'clock. Let's hit those real quick before we get to best bets. Got a couple in the NBA. Yankees-Mariners should be a ton of fun. We talked a little bit about Cam Schlittler, who right now is coming off. Got distracted. I thought we had a long ball out there in Philly. We saw Schlittler last time out perform very, very well over 5 1/3 innings of work in his first start against San Francisco. Faced 17 total batters, gave up just 1 hit, struck out 8. Was absolutely phenomenal. And you think that you can continue to keep this going. Adam Rosenberg, who was with us earlier, brought up the great point. The command has been very solid for Schlittler throughout his time here. It's a short stint, but still 73 innings. Last year, Schlittler's command was pretty solid, balanced it out with some really good strikeouts, some good strikeout stuff. And again, this year, the command has been there. Phillies get the double play. They don't. So there will be 2 outs here in the top of the 9th inning between Washington and Philadelphia. Market right now for this matchup between the Yankees and Mariners. Kirby's on the other side. We saw this open about a -126, depending on where you look for Seattle. -120 over at DraftKings, -115 at Circa. 7 shaded to the under at -120. Seems like a somewhat cheap price there, but I would agree with Rosenberg, too, in the sense of I think Schlittler might be a little undervalued considering how well he has pitched and the offense behind him. So we will see if he can get that victory. Also, Hauser and Pivetta will oppose one another for San Francisco and San Diego, respectively. Padres opened up as a pretty big favorite, still are just that, but we're starting to see the market creep a little bit in the direction of the San Francisco Giants. $1.57 now the price here at circa. Total 8 shaded to the under at minus 115. Depending on where you look and what the price was, some spots have come down. Circa was a little bit cheaper on the open. They opened minus 145 in favor of the Fathers. And we have a stolen base attempt that is failed for the Washington Nationals. And that should do it for this frame. And the Phillies, or I think that might be the second out, excuse me. Shouldn't be tracking these things. No, that's going to do it for that thing. So we head to the bottom of the ninth, 5-3 Nationals up on top of Philadelphia. We'll get to the late starts if we have time, but do want to get to the best bets before we get out of here. No fancy graphic. That's my fault, but do have 2 plays for you in the NBA. We'll start with the Atlanta Hawks and the Orlando Magic. Return of Franz Wagner, be damned. We're going in on Atlanta. Number seems relatively cheap. A bad situational spot for Orlando. Funny how yesterday they were in a very good scheduling situation. They were facing an opponent that was coming in on the second leg of a back-to-back, playing their third game in 4 nights. Also an opponent that had one of their better players, Dylan Brooks, coming back from injury. And now Orlando finds themselves in the exact same situation. They're 2.5-point dogs at home to this Hawks team. Hawks have been very good. We know how great they can be defensively, played a little bit of a quicker pace, but I just think situationally it's hard to pass up on what we're going to see here between these two teams. Orlando, as we have tracked on this show, pretty much drawn dead when it comes to the way that they have been playing offensively. They've sunk down to 19th in offensive efficiency in non-garbage time. Even their last 2 games, even look at the win last night against the Phoenix Suns where they almost let go of the rope. Still then, 105.6 offensive rating, average less than 0.9 points per possession against the Toronto Raptors. This team has not been playing well at all. And that game, too, snapped a stretch for them in which defensively they had 4 straight games, Orlando did, when they had given up over 1.2 points per possession in non-garbage time. Magic just aren't a team that are in very good form. Got them out of a little bit of a slump where they had lost 7 out of 8 games. Atlanta has proven to be the more competent team, as we have seen from them all season long. Outscoring opponents on the season by 1.9 points every 100 possessions in non-garbage time, but more importantly, playing a little bit more consistently on both ends of the floor. We'll see if maybe they can take advantage, of this spot. They did last time. They were 2.5-point favorites or thereabouts against the Boston Celtics. Big revenge spot, rest advantage, took care of business 112-102. Would expect that they can do the same thing here. Hawks have won 5 out of their last 6 games. And if you zoom out a little bit more, obviously that stretches back to that massive winning streak they had near the end of February. The other game that is worth talking about here, we have a lot of big dogs today on the card. Not many look very attractive. And I pause because there is some trepidation, but we will dive in anyway, and I will take the abuse, if you will. Denver is taking on the Utah Jazz. We have injury reports here. Collier is not going to play for the Utah Jazz. We know that, and then the rest of the names expected not to be out there, Keontae George, Lauri Markkanen. But I think catching 17.5 with the way the young studs are playing right now, it's worth diving in. You see 16.5, that's courtesy of DraftKings. Look at the board right now. You can find plenty of spots at that 17.5 range, and that'll be the play here with Utah at home against Denver. Nuggets have been playing very good basketball. We know that they have turned things around here. They have, of course, this winning streak that they were on to get back into contention and grab that 4th seed in the top of the Western Conference bracket. They've won 6 straight, 8 out of the last 10. But I do think Utah, with the way they've turned the keys over to Bailey and others, I think that this is a group that, just with the offensive upside against the Nuggets team that defensively has been floating around the 20s or so, when you look at defensive efficiency in non-garbage time, they'll probably find themselves in a tough spot, and it's going to be a tough ask to keep out of 17.5 for the Utah Jazz. So we'll take our stab at it and see if Utah can stay inside of the big number. So Hawks minus 2.5, Jazz plus 17.5 in the association tonight. All right, bottom of the 9th inning, we do have a full count here. Beater in relief and facing our guy Crawford. So just get on base, Justin. We just need your boy to get on base, and we'll feel pretty good about the way this thing is going. Of the later starts today in Major League Baseball, the one that is going to be front and center for me, we know we get Cleveland and Los Angeles. Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Gavin Williams are going to oppose each other. Minus 260, the price tag for the Dodgers. Brilliant promotion yesterday, by the way. The Yoshi bobblehead with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and then the voice of Yoshi, of course, Donald Glover. We know him as a Childish Gambino. I'm sure many of our audience members do. Very, very good promotion. Would have wished I would have gotten my hands on that bobblehead. But the other, as a Noah Cameron guy, really intrigued by this price between the Royals and the Twins. I was just told in my ear that Yoshi bobblehead that was given out yesterday, the Dodgers game, is going for $600 on eBay right now. That's I figured that would be pretty expensive. That's actually kind of wild. And I won't lie, I was curious about maybe looking that up. I've got a flight, so maybe I was like, let's just see how much one of those is. I will not be spending $600 on that, so I do not want that at all. Corbin Carroll, solo shot off of Tarek Skubal, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are on the board. All right. That does it for us. A reminder, tomorrow, so Femi Bebefe is going to be with us. That'll be a ton of fun. I am heading to the airport. We will be on the road for Money Moves, live from Radio Row for the Final Four as we're getting set out there in Indianapolis. So that'll be fun. Quick turnaround, but we'll be back here tomorrow. A little coast to coast, if you will. Not all the way, but I'll be out in the Eastern time zone as Femi will hold it down here, have some interviews and more. Really looking forward to it. Our boys from Follow the Money coming up next here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. See you tomorrow.